Hello everyone and welcome to my coloring corner. Today is Wednesday and we're going to be working on finishing off this page here. As you can see, I've already put on the chartreuse spots. I have been struggling with how to finish this page for days. I have a vision in my head, but I'm not sure how to execute it. So I've done a couple of bits of experimentation. I wanted to get the yellow dots on so that I could see where I've positioned them, make sure that they have the best positioning for the glow that I've put on the page as we were coloring it. I did that with the chartreuse pencil and a circle maker. So I turn it upside down here and I just position it in place, fill in the spots, that sort of thing. Now I think I want a small one, medium one. Nah, yeah, I think I want one more right here. I think I want it to be this medium. So you just take your pencil, make sure that there's no black on it. I'm just going to wipe it off on my sleeve. Um, Make sure there's no other color on your pencil. And I'm just going to go around all of it. Now another thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add little bits just to create that um, light sources in the background. So I'm going to take the smallest hole I have, which is this one here, and I'm just going to put in some little white spots. You're not going to see them until after we add the marker, but it's going to show up once we add the marker. I was debating between marker and the Caran d'Ache Neocolor 2s, but I really don't know if I didn't want to put water on this page. I'm really not sure about putting alcohol marker on it either, but we'll see how that turns out. But what I'm doing now is I'm just going through and randomly putting in the dots in the white pencil. Now you can use whatever white pencil you want. Just randomly put them in any old where. I'm also going to take the white pencil and I'm going to go over little areas in the hair that are strands of hair that are flowing out. Because if I don't, the black marker is going to detach those and you're not going to be able to see them. Now, I need one here. I know you can't see the white, but that's okay. You will once we start adding marker. And we're going to start at the top and then we're going to work our way down. I want the background to be a very dark background with these light spots coming through. And that's why I've chosen the bright yellow chartreuse color as well as these little white spots. Because I want it to reflect that light that is showing on her face as well as in her hair, so that it makes more sense of why I use those colors on her skin tones. And once it's done, you'll be able to see it a lot better, and it will tone her down a little bit so she doesn't look so jaundicey. Okay, so that's it for the white spots. Now I'm going to come through with the pencil and I'm going to cover up the little areas in her hair that are standing out. I think that's it. There's one here. I think I've gotten the rest of the other ones here. All right. Now, here's the scary part. And this is where I'm hesitating a lot. So I'm not going to use black because black is very dark. And even though I want it to be black, I want it to still have a bit of that lighter tone in it. So I'm going to be using the Ohuhu marker, and it's the neutral gray 9, which is really, really dark. It's really close to black, and I'm terrified right now. So just putting that out there. Oh, I didn't do her eyebrows. Let's do her eyebrows because I missed them when we were doing the coloring. So let's take our brown. So we're going to take the chocolate. I just got to find it. Actually, we can use this one. Sepia, that's too dark. Where's my chocolate pencil? There it is. We're going to take the chocolate and the sepia, and we're just going to do little flicks for her eyebrows here. Can't believe I missed her eyebrows. I missed her eyebrows, people. That's okay. It happens. Definitely can go back and add things you've missed. Usually it's an ear. I usually don't miss the eyebrows, but usually it's an ear. There we go. That's better. All right, now we're going to start at the top corner. I'm going to make sure that the paper I have underneath it is a heavy cardstock and we are able to get all the way into the corner. I'm not going to go all the way to the edge because I don't want this to go through the paper to the other side. I'm going to try to stay away from the yellow dots the best I can. Because it won't lift off of it. I did test that. So I'm just going to go around them. Now we've gotten to the first white dot and you can see it stand out. And we're going to come through with the lighter color. Okay, I'm going to switch to the going to go around all of the edge areas here just to make sure that I don't go into that yellow. because even though it does not completely cover it, it does remove that brightness, and we don't want to remove that brightness. With the white I can work with it, but with the yellow it's not as easy to work with. Okay. So I'm just going to do one side and then I'll do the other. Okay, so I'm going to put the cap back on that, and then we're going to continue on. With markers, it's very important to make that edge wet, otherwise you end up with streakiness. So do remember that when you stop and start, that you go back in and go over top of the edge and wet it down so that it blends. You don't get a streaky stop and start mark. Being very, very careful at the edge of the hair here so that it just flows down to the hairline instead of trying to get right down to that hairline. Okay, now we're going to come back this way. Again, going back up into the area that edge. Just being very careful not to touch the hair. like the when the dots just suddenly appear. It looks so cool. Now we are going to come in here a little bit. Fan that out a little bit. And we're going to just fill it in a touch with the dark brown, just so that it looks like the sky is coming in behind her hair. Come in with the there we go. Now you can use that white technique when you're doing like a light halo effect around the art as well. So if you have an area that you want to glow around the art, you can use that white to do that. Now I'm just coming into the most intricate areas, and I'm using the very tip of the brush at this point. And then we're going to come into the very, very, very small areas with the bullet. And this is where I hold my breath for a second. I know it just got suddenly very quiet, but that's just me holding my breath so that I don't make a mess. Sorry about that. I have my phone in here because Bob is still away, and I need to have, if he calls or messages, I need to have the ability to answer him. I did get confirmation of my job, so I will be starting that soon. Like I said, it is part-time, so I will still have time to do my videos and that sort of thing. I do have a video that I'm working on for the tutorial videos. I just haven't finished it yet. So, and like I said, those tutorial videos will go up once a month, probably close to the end of the month, depending upon content and how much information is required for the video. I will be doing some research while I'm doing them. I will be, I will walk through and give you as much information as I can give that I know of. Like I said, these tutorial videos are things that I have learned along the way. I am not an art major. I am not an art professor. I barely know how to art, but I do know how to color a little bit. Not a whole lot, but some. I'm not a pro. I am a bit of a perfectionist, but I'm not a pro. So I'm just coming down to the very edge of her arm there with the um, marker. Then we're going to come back up and we're going to circle the rest of the circles. I'm going to finish this up with the marker. You're probably getting very bored with this, so um, I'm going to go around a couple of more and then I'll show you what I'm going to do with the stars that I've put in the background there. Just want to get a couple of different areas here taken care of. And then we'll look at the star area. And then I'll finish the rest of it off camera. Okay. So I'm just going to go to this point here and then we'll finish the rest of it off camera. Just so that you're not bored watching me color black. There's a couple of different things that I'm going to do around the yellow spots as well as around the stars and in the star areas, the little white spots that I put in. We're going to make those stars. Again, I'm just scrubbing in little circles, getting that marker blended in. I'm not going all the way to the hair, I'm letting it flow to the hairline. The ink on the page, as long as you don't cross over that ink line, will stop the marker. If you cross over the ink line, you will end up with marker bleed into your coloring. Which is not what you want. Now the cardstock behind it that I have put behind it is a very heavy cardstock, and that's going to protect your page behind it from having any sort of color bleed in, from the marker. That one I'm going to have to fix a little bit, but that's okay. Trying to be very careful here. There we go. I have been working on the other bingo page that I selected for the month as well. And before I finish off with this video today, I will show it to you. It's the Regal page that I drew for the bingo prompt. I have been working on that. Okay. The one thing with markers, I don't like stopping because I don't like blending those lines. If I can avoid blending a line, I will. So I'm going to do my best to take this to a point where I'm not going to have to blend any hard line, which I think is about here. Anything past here, I'm going to leave alone for now. All right, so that is the start of what we're working on. So as you can see that background color in there. Now we're going to take our gray. Now this is neutral gray 3. And we're going to take our fine point and we're going to go in here and we're going to lift that black off of those stars. Now you can do this with a gray or a yellow or whatever color you want to do it with. As long as it's a light color. If you're doing this in ice or that sort of thing, you can use a nice blue color and those spots will show as bubbles in the ice. Like if you're using a dark blue. or in water. Now this is just lifting that black off so that when I go over it with the white, it'll have more ability to show that white through. Okay, now I'm going to let that dry for a second. Now we're going to go back over it with the white. Some of them I'm just going to leave the white. Lighter one there. Really bright one here. Now you can use your Chinese white or your soft white from the Holbeins, that sort of thing. Or you can just leave them with the white that you put down, like the Prisma white or whatever white you put down, and just have it a little bit more of a gray in the background. Another thing that you can do is you can take your light yellow and give them a little bit of a yellow color. You can use a brighter yellow or a light yellow. That sort of thing. I prefer using the white. You can also use your white paint as well. Now you don't need to go over top of any of them if you don't want to. You know, like I said, it looks fine just coming through as it is. Now around the edges of the circles, you can also do a white little halo if you want to. You know, some of them are Now another thing you can do around the edge of the smaller ones is you can take your gray and you can go around the edge of it. And this is the lighter gray, not the darker gray. And what it's going to do is it's going to move some of that darker color out of the way. And give you a little bit of a halo. Not a whole lot because it's not a lot lighter, but it does give you a little bit of that halo. Now that's the effect that I want in the background. So as you can see, and I'm going to position this so it's a little bit central. Let's see. So as you can see, she stands up. She stands out from that background. You can, go do a crossover here and here. Everything else can be just dots. And it just gives it that illusion that the night sky is behind her. Those bright yellow lights are behind her. That sort of thing. You can go back in and correct any edges that you may find that you want to correct. Brightening up those areas in the background as well. Like so. All right, so I'm going to zoom it back out a little bit. And there she is. I am going to finish this side here. I'm going to do the exact same thing and then I will post it to Instagram. Now, another thing I have been working on, and I have been using the Holbeins because they're on my desk, so why not? I'm going to close this, and this is the reason why, I will show you, why I keep that page there. I don't want this page to have that black ink on it. So as you can see, we've got a lot of it here, and there will be a lot more when I start blending that edge that I've got on there in. So over here where that edge is, there's going to be more ink go through because I'm going to have to go over that a couple of times to get that edge not to look like a line. So once that is all done, and I will come all the way down to the bottom of her shoulder just like I did over here. Once that's all done, I will finish it off, post it to Instagram so that you guys can see it finished. Now, the page that I have been working on that I will also be finishing in one of these work in progresses, if I don't finish it offline, is this one here. I have this one for Regal. I've got the majority of her finished. I've got some embellishments on her dress that I need to do in gel pen, her hair, the crown, which is something that I'm going to also do in the majority of the little areas are going to be done in gel pen, the edge of her chair, and the background. So I've got a lot still to do on this one, but I wanted to do her in a very regal white and gold with the emeralds to match her eyes. So that is where I've gotten on that one. And I am once again using that Caran d'Ache, or not Caran d'Ache, Holbein colored pencils for that. All right, guys, so that is it for today. That is how I'm going to do this background. I know it's a little bit of a work in progress still, but it's given you the information on how I'm going to do this and how I'm going to get that bright glow that we put on her face and in her hair. All right, guys, with that, I would like to say thank you all very much for coming and hanging out with me while I worked on this. Of course, always remember to like, comment, and subscribe to any YouTube artist that you enjoy. And of course, always remember to relax, color, and stay safe, everyone. Until next time, bye-bye for now.